Well, you pretty much know what I'm going to say here. Broken record, rinse, lather, repeat. Another good episode of Superman and Lois that somehow is on the CW. So they're moving their story right along. And there's certain formulaic things you was like, you're inclined to roll your eyes at this sort of thing. I mean, obviously Morgan Edge is the villain here, or at least one of them anyway. And but the arguments therein are rather handled respectively. I mean, Lois is at odds with Lana's husband, who is all supporting of Morgan Edge, who is obviously a pseudo-Trump character here. But and even with all of that, there's still the elements of it. It's interesting because Lois is dead set against him, suspicious, and all this, and he's just coming into this town, and she doesn't really bring a good enough argument for why he's bad. She just knows he is, and that he's going to exploit this town, and the mine won't go anywhere, and it won't be. Obviously, he's really after the mine for the kryptonite that we discover at the end of this one, and he's either he has Kryptonian superpowered people, but if there's so much kryptonite there, I don't see how his main muscle woman here would be able to be next to it. So I'm guessing somehow he's able to recreate superpowers within this. There's more evidence of strange things going on. There's a student that the boys know seems to be troubled. He injured his arm and has a cast, and yet his arm it seems to be developing super speed or something. It keeps vibrating. I mean, it's funny scene where he's hiding in a bathroom stall. John says, "Hey man, you okay?" "Well, leave me alone." You get the idea. But it gets out of hand, and the boys try to help him. Jordan almost does it. More indication that yes, despite what the ghost of Jor-El thinks, Jordan is obviously has some amount of superpowers, but it's not enough. They need Super Dad to come deal with it, and they call him, but he's a little occupied. Another old supervillain, Kilgrave, has this super high sonic weapon that he uses on Superman, and the whole scene is great. It plays out well, as of course Superman overcomes this, but it took time out. He took a while to get there. To deal with this situation, and he does. It's also very good. We get a flashback to what Morgan Edge was about, and there's just stuff falling out of the sky all over the place. He seems to be with perhaps a paramilitary outfit that he funded, or whatever. I don't know that they're going to posit that he was in the military or something like that. But it's kind of like, is Morgan Edge also from an alternate world? Because it seems like people would have noticed all this stuff falling out. And one of the things that falls out of the sky, it's something from some alien world or what have you. Is it Kryptonian? And all of that. And then we cut back to normal times. Meanwhile, just when the family seems to be getting together and they're finding their ways around, there's arguments between Clark and Lois, but it's handled in a very adult manner. Lois even admits to her own shortcomings, but at the same time, she's wanting him to solve it. And of course, poor Superman is torn, because he could just sit there and not pay attention to someone screaming for help because, well, his son's feeling down. But they play it all out very well, and these are credible characters, and their motivations and what have you. Well, except for we don't know what the mystery is, of course, for Morgan Edge and all that. But looks all pretty nefarious. But the overall the economic argument. I mean, I keep forgetting Lana's husband's name, but he's not wrong. I mean, ultimately, I think they're going to point out that he was wrong to support him. But, I mean, what's your answer? You just let Smallville go broke? There's no work there. There's no, the town will die eventually, And here comes the guy and says, hey, I want to open up this mine, and I'm wanting to finance it and all that. And they're like, yeah, that perfectly makes sense. There's no way Lois knows what he's up to. She just doesn't. She's suspicious of him because she doesn't like the guy. He took over the Daily Planet. She felt that ruined everything. Plus, of course, you can't write what he doesn't want you to write. So there's that. But turns out, of course, he just wants the mine to get this kryptonite. So can't be anything good there. So there you go. But it's just the way they handle it, the way the characters have credible foundations and whatnot. That still plays out here, and they do it very well. And just when everything seems to be getting together, there's the shadows of danger are encroaching. So the relationship with Sam Lane is taking a dark turn. He feels like he is being kind of pushed out of the family here. Lois has had enough of his crap and just weighing down on Superman even more and interfering with how she raises her kids when she clearly does not see him as a good father and that sort of thing. And meanwhile, at the end, he looks at this necklace of the Superman symbol that the alternate universe Lex Luthor gave him. And this Luthor, of course, served in the military on his world under Sam Lane, who died in battle with the evil Superman. And so now he's wanting to take out his revenge on this Superman. And he's warning this world's Sam Lane that he's going to turn evil on you. And so Sam Lane looks at it, and then he decides to activate a contingency plan, which obviously has to do with what to do with Superman if he turns on us. And he names it after, I'm forgetting the numbers, but there's a sequence of numbers on there. And my guess is he already knew that. Like, they had already talked about this, and then here comes this alternate universe Luthor. And he says, how do you know that? So I'm guessing that's how that plays out. But that's classic Superman comics and stuff, especially with Lois's father getting involved, that he was always at odds with Superman in a lot of different ways. And so this will bring a lot of pain to the family, both physically and emotionally, of course. And we'll see how that resolves. It was interesting that the boys still have a lot of respect for their grandfather. And so, there was that in there as well. And there's still the high school soap opera drama stuff. But, again, they weave it very well. It's kept to a minimum. It has its place. It doesn't dominate the show. I'm sure there'll be episodes where it does, because it'll revolve around the plot and whatnot. And the tensions keep going. Even though the brothers are really good together, you can see it's going to crack on Jonathan. I mean, he had a good life in Metropolis. His brother didn't. His brother is rising while he is just being literally benched. Because once again, there's a football game. Jordan comes forth, and he's the big hero on the field. And, Jonathan's not. And so... anyway, yes, rinse, lather, repeat. I'm saying the same thing I said last week because it's true. I do recommend the show. There's only, 2 more episodes, I think, before, or maybe only 1. I can't remember. Before it has to go on hiatus. Thank you, COVID. Thanks. And then we get Supergirl. Yeah. Well, don't be surprised if I forget to watch that. Oh, damn it, I forgot to make this point I wanted to make in the review, so after listening to it before I put it out, I just shoehorned this into the tail end of it here. But when I brought up Supergirl will be replacing Superman while it goes on hiatus, I think one of the obvious things that they'll have to deal with here is that Superman is being stretched thin between his family obligations and saving the world, is why not just call one of the other superheroes? Because since Crisis on Infinite Earths, the CW superheroes all live on the same Earth, with the exception of Stargirl, I guess. But so I think the interesting thing here is the timeline, because during the crossover, it was Lois had just had the kids, or was about to, or something like that. So this is, what, 14 years later, I imagine. So I don't know if Supergirl takes place in the past now, and when it comes to an end. And would it be a problem for her to be it was assumed she would have some guest star appearances on this show at some point. But what if she dies at the end of the or something like that, you know? Or she goes to the future to be a part of the Legion of Superheroes with Mon-El, you know? Or she goes into outer space, yeah, whatever. You know, but then there's the Flash and Black Lightning and other superheroes that formed up their little Justice League that they formed at the end of the Crisis, or was that Elseworlds? I can't remember. Yeah, they all blur together. You know, the crossovers are never really good. But nevertheless, the point is made that he could call out, "Hey, could you handle this for me?" And he say, "Yeah, I got it." It seems like something they could address. Unless it's this problem of him being 14 years ahead of the other shows, and that kind of like the stakes, even though you're pretty sure that your superhero isn't going to die at the end, it takes away. Well, he's not gonna die in this episode because I know he's gonna help out Superman in the future. So maybe that's it. I don't know, but I think it's something. Some of those superheroes will still be around. So it's something they should address, you know. And I think obviously Supergirl would be the obvious one he'd call upon to help out, or even Crypto, the super dog, or they could introduce Connor Kent, you know, his clone with Lex Luthor. Yeah, he had two daddies. Anyway, it's a deal, an element, if you will, that I think they should address to help out Superman with the circumstances of his availability. So we'll see how that it ends before its hiatus, and hopefully it returns strong in good super fashion, and people will return for it unless it suddenly does a 180 towards the end, and it gives you a sign of what it's going to be like, and you're like, oh well, they tricked us again, and then it just plummets like all the other CW shows. But right now, it's the best damn superhero show going on TV right now. So good for Superman. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr. Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.